Hello, Rama Pupote. Hope all are in good health, feeling great, wonderful, having a happy and peaceful life. Now let's continue with the next devotee, Walter Kears. In the Hindu scriptures, such a state of transcending the world and everything else is called Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Walter had experienced this state 3 times by the time he was 21 years old. This time he was brave enough to ask his family for an explanation. He told them this had been happening to me repeatedly. His family brushed his queries aside, saying, "These are bizarre experiences. Do not pay any attention to them." Walter was disappointed at their response to his genuine queries. He then asked his friends. None of them could understand or even share his thirst to know more about his experiences. He started reading wildly to find out more. No book gave him an acceptable answer. Walter had a strong feeling that there was some reality in the experiences. He also felt that the experiences were actually the source of one's existence and one's body. He understood that this was the substratum on which all existence, the world and everything else in it, was based, and that force was the light of silence. His efforts to find an answer met with no success. Then a voice inside him whispered, "Perhaps you have to seek a master who will be able to help you." When this intuitive feeling cropped up, the Guru also started playing an active role. Within a few days of this feeling, an elderly lady came to his house and lent him 2 books. She said, "Walter, read these books." Well, we know Walter's attitude towards books. He was always disappointed with books, but his respect for the woman compelled him to pick up the books. Jnana Yoga by Swami Vivekananda and The Secret Path by Paul Bruton. As he read the first book, he was in a state of ecstasy because for the first time the truth of a spiritual experience had been confirmed, though by a Hindu monk. He plunged into the book with great vigor because he found that the book was not only certifying that his experience was a spiritual one, but was confirming it. This was something that neither his relatives nor his friends had been able to do. The book also revealed that it was a common phenomenon for real seekers to have this kind of spiritual thirst right from childhood. The crowning glory of the book was Swami Vivekananda confirming that the tradition of sages and saints still continued in India. Walter immediately felt, "I now know that my master is in India. I need not search anywhere else." With this exultant feeling, he started reading the second book, The Secret Path. In this, he found a picture of Bhagavan. After the first few pages, he knew that Bhagavan Ramana was his guru, his Sadguru. He took his picture and placed it where he could see it and practiced the various kinds of meditation which he was already following in front of it. He felt grace and power flowing from the picture. The book stated that the right side of the chest in the human body is the spiritual center, the vibrations, confirming the fact that Ramana Maharishi was his guru. However, he was anxious about one thing. The book was many years old. He wondered whether his guru would be available in the body. This was the only carving that he had to see Bhagavan physically when he meditated on this heart center. It seemed to him that the photograph of Bhagavan responded in a mystical way assuring him, I am here. You will come to me. Do not worry. Walter couldn't go immediately for innumerable reasons. There was World War II, the German occupation, and the fact that he had no money. He could leave for India only in the beginning of 1950. The moment he set foot on Indian soil, he left for Arunachala. Rhoda McKeever was his host. It was she who took him to Bhagavan. He entered the ashram with a feeling of awe, respect, and intense longing to meet the divine. He was thrilled when he stood in front of Bhagavan's presence and was also filled with gratitude. He went before Bhagavan and said, Thank you, Bhagavan. You have answered all my prayers. I wanted to see you in your physical form. Later, he described his first darshan of Bhagavan. I saw Bhagavan sitting on a chair in the small passage that connected his room with the hall. This is where he met visitors and devotees. The mere sight of him made me tremble all over. It was not because of the nervousness or uneasiness. It was because I had come face to face with the divine. The recognition affected me so much that my body shook involuntarily. I looked at this being who had been the focus of all my dreams, hopes, and expectations. For so many years, there could have been a letdown, a disappointing realization that I had come so far just to see an ordinary man sitting in a chair. But this was not so. As I gazed at Bhagavan, I felt I saw God Himself sitting there. I felt I was seeing that early morning a blazing light that had taken human form. It was more radiant than anything I had ever seen before. Bhagavan turned his attention on Walter and smiled at him. Walter felt that the smile meant, So, finally, you have arrived, affirming that Bhagavan had been guiding him from that picture back home in Holland. Waves of ecstasy inundated me. I feasted my eyes on his form. I looked and looked, soaking up my every emanation of this radiance. Long, long ago, when I was very young, I had believed that God was a magnificent being who had a human form that radiated light and goodness. I had long since abandoned this childhood belief, believing it to be a fairy tale told only to credulous children. Yet now this childhood belief turned out to be true because here before me was a human form that seemed to be made of light himself. How do I describe what I experienced on the first morning? God became manifest before my eyes. That's all, folks. Let's continue the next chapter. Thank you. Bye bye. Rama Rama Popote.